So what Saul has done here is he's taken the map he already made and put cherry blossoms everywhere.
That's what you told
Oh,
him
is
to
this an
do.
MMO? Is this the spring event?
This, yeah, there's going to be an NPC standing in like a flower
Do
field.
I have to go find eggs or something? Get a new sword?
Oh my god! I remember going trick or treating in City of Heroes. You just went to random doors and clicked on them, and then dudes would show up, and then you punched all the dudes, and you got candy or something.
Oh, City of Heroes is a type of MMO you just don't see anymore.
I do miss that game.
But that is what Saul has done here. I just want to.
That's what you told him to do.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is that?
You said you did. You said just load up the old map and put cherry blossoms everywhere.
Well, that's what he's done. So he's good at following directions.
Also cleaned up the manor yard. We have like that nice little garden for reagents and poisons now.
Yeah, you've got
Must be building a
places
greenhouse for that, but
where if somebody wanted to sneak into your house, they've got somewhere to hide from the guards you have on patrol now.
Oh yeah, it's like that Hyrule Castle situation. I feel like it's mandatory to have that.
Right.
Like you got to give them a fair chance.
You do. That's why all the Mega Man blocks reappear after a few minutes. All right. Who has a 100-word summary of all the trouble you got into last week?
We final solutioned Sad Ghost Boy.
That's a little loaded.
Our peace-loving monk slit an ogre's throat in his sleep.
The ogre deserved it.
No, he didn't. You were going to give him robot legs.
Now, are we going with sleep? Because I was thinking more of like hypothermic coma.
Yeah, coma.
Yeah.
He was in a coma.
He probably was never going to wake up.
He was salvageable.
He's definitely not going to wake up after they slit his throat.
Well, he might. There are zombies and stuff.
Yeah, last week we just...
Didn't we throw his body into the water?
Did you?
No, you guys just left him there. Next person who goes down is going to find the giant ogre corpse.
But they can't walk because its legs are broken.
Well, it can't walk because it's dead.
Well, if it's a zombie, like the zombie's not going to care about the hypothermia.
Meh.
Maybe we should go down there and like burn the ogre corpse.
If anybody has the idea to do that, sure.
But anyway, no, when we came back to town, the children were all okay, and we all lived happily ever after.
Yeah, that's the end of the campaign as far as I know.
He managed
Yeah,
to
we came
clear
back,
the
there was
whole
a
dungeon without taking a long rest.
Yeah, and Destil didn't have any of his attack spells memorized hardly.
I had the ones that I can't unprepare, but that was it.
It was a masterclass of resource management. My kudos to you all. We were going to open up this week with some downtime, which means I have to go back here into the tunnel.
So, speaking of downtime, Destil, I did the math, and it's going to take, like, even if I get my... I don't necessarily think getting plate mail for Orson is the best use of the time. Because that's, like, so much time
Yeah.
for, like, one AC.
Did we decide whether we wanted to do Fireball or Wall of Fire as a scroll? So you get 2 Wall of Fires right now, but if you get Fireball instead, you'll have 3 next level.
Well, the thing is I got to have something to put it in, and I don't currently have anything to put it in.
Oh,
yet.
really?
Yeah. Oh, I do have a question for Brick Road. If
Okay.
I uninfuse an item and I have a scroll loaded into it, what happens to the scroll? Is the scroll just done?
Well, the item's no longer an infused item, and the
Right.
scroll has to be put into an infused item, so that's that.
Okay, all right. I was just making sure.
Okay. The good news is, as winter breaks over the town, as all things go, fairly pleasant winter. Your stores were not strained too heavily. Nobody died of starvation or exposure or anything of the nature. There were few, if any, encounters with night creatures or other horrors of the winter season. So spirits in town are fairly high as the snow melts away. And the cherry blossoms that are here now inexplicably come into full bloom.
Those are the silver bough trees. They're cherry blossoms now.
They always have been.
They probably flower white.
Yeah, I'm gonna veto that, Treble.
Sorry.
I
don't know.
Well, I would assume if you had any silver bough trees in the vicinity, you would have cut them down long ago. They
Right.
made use of the material. The wood steel is very valuable material. So, as far as downtime goes, oh, the other thing that had happened was you received a message at the end of last session.
Right. That was a message that made Koyana not want to talk to Victor anymore.
A skeletal bird visited the village, and the message was, should House Veritas want for allies against Azalin, Avardo awaits at the site of the first and oldest.
Not really sure why we would need allies against Aslan. Aslan hasn't done anything to us yet.
That's because he doesn't know about all the magic we have.
I mean, of all the people we've met, Aslan has been one of the people who's been the most straight with us.
I think from our experiences with the Sculpture Lord, I think it's probably most likely he forgot about us.
I don't think he forgot about us.
Or is working on a time scale so long that effectively it's the same thing.
Yeah, he's certainly a very hands-off ruler, but if he wants something from us, we will hear about it.
I think we've just managed to stay under his radar for the moment.
Well, as to
I know.
that, on the subject of radar, these reputations you guys are picking up, these are things people know about you, especially as spring rolls in and the weeks go by and more travelers going from village to village, and you hear news coming from the outside world beyond your borders. People know you. People know that you're building a church here to a particular god, a god of lights. They know that you've deposed the Squelcher Lord. There are lots of different stories and variations on how that happened, but it has happened. They know that Jeannie apparently wanted to burn a man's balls off.
Nah.
I mean, she did say that.
But do they know that Victor is a friend of goat herders?
Yeah, that is your most recent reputation.
Good, maybe some more will show up.
So the name Veritas is starting to spread further and further afield in Darkon as spring comes in, which may or may not change your mind on the subject of whether Azalin has decided to overlook you.
He is biding his time. I seriously doubt there's anything he's actually forgotten about. He has a ledger that has all this stuff itemized. That's just like, 5,000 pages long, and he's just, oh yeah, I'll get to them, in 6 years.
No, it's really very simple. As soon as Aslan finds out that we have that spellbook we just found, he's going to send somebody knocking on our doorstep.
I mean, I don't know that he cares about that. He seems
He does.
interested in our magic.
I guess Victor hasn't told Evie what he knows yet, has he?
Victor
She didn't want to
hasn't
know.
told everyone. Because remember, you were cautioned that just knowing that puts you in danger.
Yeah. So if we're actually having this conversation, then Victor will pull Evie aside and share what he knows.
Which is what?
That Aslan is unable to get his own magic, and he is desperate for new spells to try and escape. And given their spellbook, there's a high likelihood that what's in here is unique. And as soon as he finds out about it, he probably will try and get it. So allies is a good idea.
If he wants it, I don't see a good reason not to trade it to him for something.
Because you're not going to trade it to him. He's going to take it. And if you're lucky, you'll still be alive.
He doesn't have to come kill us. He could just say, give me the spellbook.
And you're just...
technically, that's our arrangement with him.
And you're just going to hand it over?
I mean, Evie doesn't know what's in the spellbook.
Neither does Victor, but he knows it's probably dangerous.
So we
Well,
know
all-
Evie and Victor's outlook on Aslan. What are Ekon and Jeannie's thoughts on Aslan's role in the village?
Yeah, he's. I mean, same thing I just said. I think he's effectively forgotten us.
Jeannie legitimately doesn't care. Like the you talk about what is her thoughts on Aslan.
Mm-hmm.
The thoughts that she has is like the only thoughts she has about him are that she wished she could have gotten more information about the lightning in the walls, and and there are no thoughts, just vibes.
You know, if Jeannie wants to take that spellbook and give it to Aslan in exchange for lightning, that'd be a great opportunity for her to get to know the dark powers better.
I mean, the only thing that we know about this spellbook is it's some chonky spells. And
It's
there's three chonky spells in this spellbook.
3 chunky spells, yes.
It's a spellbook we can't use. It's probably very powerful magic, but we don't know that it's, Aslan level powerful. Is he going to look at that and say, whoa, holy crap? Or is he going to be like, oh, I cast this spell in 5th grade?
It's Victor thinks it's going to be more of, oh, you guys have had this and didn't immediately tell me. Well, remember that last village that was standing here?
We legitimately do not have a way to contact Aslan.
I mean, the arrangement we have with him is if he wants something from us, he will let us know. We are under no obligation to offer things to him.
Now,
Yep,
to
that's
Jeannie's question, though, if you wanted to send a rider to Castle Avernus, that's something you could do, now that spring has come.
I can just cast Ascending too.
No,
That
you have
does
ways.
not-
You do have ways of
I wouldn't
contacting
cast
us.
Ascending to Aslan. I'd cast it to one of his retainers.
No,
we
you
were
don't send
under.
Ascending straight to Aslan. That's
Yeah.
a major breach of protocol.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't send it directly to Aslan.
I like to
No,
think that
no.
Aslan's sitting there and on whatever magical receptacle that receives sendings, it just says "scam likely," and he just swipes it away.
No, he's sitting there going, nobody ever calls me.
He's like that. He's like the really old person that gets super excited and then angry when it is a scam. It's like, and then he talks with the telemarketers just for somebody to speak to.
There's got to be wizards in Waterdeep that just sit there, with a sending stone, just sending out yeah, and I need you to buy me gift cards.
I'm here to talk to you about your extended carriage warranty.
I saw your castle was for sale.
It's really funny. Anyway, let's talk downtime.
Yeah, that's real good.
So, the general feel is that you guys are not going to immediately respond to this missive. Should House Veritas want for allies against Aslan, and sounds like with Victor as the dissenting voice, House Veritas has decided that at least currently we don't have a reason to have allies against Aslan.
I might still want to hear why they contacted us and what they have to say, but that doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to go in and sign up to go lead an army against Aslan.
Okay.
I mean,
Well, your little spell actually came back with a definitive answer this time too.
Yeah,
It
which
did.
actually makes me more nervous.
well, I mean, Jeannie's vote actually is to go see because she wants to know what they have to say.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to hear what they have to say. I want to know
Just-
why they contacted us, but
Not necessarily out of any. She just wants to know what they have to say. Knowing is better than not knowing.
So how much downtime do you guys want to take in terms of downtime actions?
Victor
So-
has 5 weeks left on his athletics training.
So we are currently at the start of. So it's like the spring has just broke. So there's still snow on the ground. It's just
Correct. You're still waking up in the morning and like punching the sheet of ice on the top of your water basin.
right.
Ekon's still going around with a flaming spear to clear the roads.
Which is a bright spectacle that the children of the village come to love.
But she like he's got to like stay 5 feet back, otherwise you'll burn to death.
Now, you've been doing this all winter, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Then, by the time spring breaks, it probably doesn't surprise you to hear that, especially amongst the children of the village, they've come to connect this rolling, flaming sphere with their god.
I mean, yes.
Ekon, I think you are giving these children an unrealistic expectation of what they should expect from their religions.
Like, yes, Destil has started a sun cult.
More or less.
Yes. I don't understand why any of this would be at all like questioned or controversial. That's literally what I'm doing.
No. We're just confirming.
We're just enjoying.
I have some things that I want to do with Destil's help, so we can go. But that's like
Well,
not,
so far,
like-
Victor said he needs 5 weeks. Is 5 weeks of downtime acceptable to everybody?
yeah, that's
That's
fine with
going to
me.
be about a month of,
Yeah.
a little over a month. Okay.
It's so Jeannie actually wants to spend. Okay, Destil, how much is a 1,500 for a plate mill?
That sounds right. Yeah.
Okay, so I don't want to spend my time doing it, but my retainer has proficiency with blacksmith, is a proficient blacksmith.
Okay.
So we could just put him to doing that, and then just over natural, and like when we get to a point, like I can do the thing where like 2 people can do it, and then we can just do that up later instead of like using all of my downtime currently.
Do you set
So-
this retainer up with a forge?
I mean, I have a forge
Okay. Where? Like,
in my workshop.
okay.
Like I'm assuming that like I have like workstations equivalent to all of the stuff that I have proficient in my workshop, because I have said I did say that I'm like setting all that up. I
Sure.
spent
No,
downtime
that's
doing
a
it.
fair assumption. I guess my question is, you have this retainer who is a talented or trained as a blacksmith. Is this person going to set up a smithery in the village? Or is this
No.
like your pet blacksmith who works on your projects and doesn't make nails and horseshoes and things?
Right.
Okay.
Like his job, he has a job. His job is not blacksmith. That's something he does when I ask him to.
All right. So what are you doing with your 5 weeks of downtime?
I would like to take the research downtime action.
Okay.
Specifically on, let me find it on my person so I can remind you that I have this bullshit, because that's what it is. It's just all bullshit. I have 20 vials of the magical glass solution that we got. Remember when you surrounded me by those in that underwater ruin?
Vaguely.
Yeah. Anyway, I grabbed up this incredibly magical like solution, like glass mixed in with this water. And
Okay.
you told me I'd be able to research it and whatever. And then the vial of emerald dragon blood. I've already researched the eyes,
Okay.
but I just want to like use. I just want to research those to see if there's any uses I could get to use them as magical reagents.
And you're spending 5 weeks on this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe I could use them to offset. I'm thinking to not, because that's been so long ago that if you had anything in mind for this stuff, you probably don't remember. So I guess what I'm trying to research is, can I use these to offset the cost of manufacturing other, like permanent devices that of my stuff, if that to make things easy.
Okay, so 1 work week of research costs 50 gold.
Huh?
And you're going to make an intelligence check with a +1 bonus per 100 gold you spend beyond the first 100. So how much gold are you putting into this research?
How much gold am I putting in this research? How much gold do I currently have on me?
You guys just took a bunch of gold out of that dungeon.
We did. Genie. Can I spend, so 50, that'd be 5 platinum, 5, 10, 15, 25 platinum for 250 gold, essentially. So that would be a +4.
250 gold?
Wait,
So-
would that be a +4 or +5?
You get a +1 bonus per 100 after the first 100.
So that would be +4, yes. Okay.
My sincerest apologies.
Who are you?
Some dumbass who doesn't know how to tell time.
So
I-
everyone
I-
wakes up in
I
the world
super-
dungeon.
Yeah.
I guess
Basically,
since McDohl has decided to join us, I thought maybe you were still playing that SMZ3 seed.
Probably. No, I was playing some dumb factory building game that just it devoured all of my brain.
So I'll ask you the same question that I just asked these guys. So Evie is like rah pro Azalin, like she's got the college T-shirt with him on it. Victor
Go that
is
far.
Victor is like, no, Aslan is going to kill us all, and we have to do something about it. Ekon and Genie, Ekon thinks that Aslan has no idea who you are anymore, and Genie doesn't care. Where does Edmont fall on the spectrum of, like, what's his outlook on Aslan's take, his role in your rule of this village, in light of having just received a message to the effect of, should your house want for allies against Aslan?
Lip service to Azalin. But not super loyal to this guy, because he's not the one who's taking care of this place, we are. You know? We have, aside from the first group of people that he, deigned to send with us, we've basically put this together by ourselves now, so.
Ekon,
Yeah.
how would you like to spend 5 weeks of downtime?
Can you come back to me? I just have to look up the scroll scribing prices.
Sure. Victor, how would you like to spend 5 weeks of downtime?
Training athletics.
Training athletics?
Mm-hmm.
How much more time did you have left on that?
5.
Yeah, that's why we chose,
Oh, that's
5
right.
weeks.
He just said that. Okay. So if you're spending all 5 weeks training athletics and you had 5 weeks remaining, then at the end of the 5 weeks, you are now trained in athletics.
Yay!
How would Evie like to spend 5 weeks of downtime?
I could craft a poison. I'm not sure it's worth 5 weeks, but it's pretty good. So I think
You
I'm
got
going
something
to...
better?
I mean, no, not really. So if everyone's okay with me spending 125, I can create a poison that will poison and blind a target for 1 hour.
Yeah. It's your money, too. I think technically it's just your money, and we're mooching off of you.
Technically, it's Aslan's money. You all are his vassals.
It was very clear in our agreement that we did not owe him taxation. That was that was his words, not ours. He wanted magical knowledge, not money.
Pray that he does not alter the agreement further.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
I mean, when you have an agreement with wizard of his caliber, you're kind of at his mercy.
So you're going to spend the time crafting this poison?
Yes.
Edmont, how would you like to spend 5 weeks of downtime?
I've got my listed in. I've been taking the leaving notes in the Discord to make just so I don't dumbass forget what I wanted to do. First things first was finish an art piece that I've decided to call the Silverbow Sapling, and it's basically a very artistic. My intention isn't like to have this be a piece of value, but rather a piece of like this is what we had when we started here, and what you just look outside at what we have now, kind of a situation.
So are you spending all 5 weeks painting this?
No, I'm spending, I believe, 3 weeks doing training to finish my training with a whip.
And
And then my other-
you had 3 weeks remaining on that. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes.
And then 2 weeks painting. Is that what you want to do?
Yes.
So you are now trained with a whip. Poof.
Woo.
Now,
75.
I'll be the first to admit that I'm not like an expert on using classical weaponry, but if video games are anything to go by, you can only use this whip if you wear stiletto heels.
No.
That's not been my experience at all.
I direct your attention. I direct your attention to one Julius Belmont, sir.
He wears stiletto heels.
No, he doesn't.
Agree to disagree.
How else do you explain that jump arc? Brick's got a point.
He's just mincing along.
He is my favorite Belmont, though.
Jay is pretty rad, yeah.
All right, so that just leaves Ekon.
But that was one more thing, though, is because and after having finished this piece, I wish for Koyana to be present for the unveiling.
Okay.
And once she's done, assuming, as I'm probably sure that there's a Scythe Man in there somewhere, I want her to do a Taraka reading
Okay.
based on that, because I've been staring at this guy in my art for months and months now. I'm tired. I want to know what this guy's all about.
And that leaves... Oh, so let me tell you what roll I want you to make here.
Okay.
Give me your tool proficiency roll for your painter's tools. I'll let you
ability
decide
score?
what... I would say either dexterity or charisma.
All right, that's gonna take me a moment to get back into Tabletop Simulator because I was doing something not Tabletop Simulator a minute ago.
Or intelligence, I suppose, would also... Kind of depends on how you want the piece to come out.
Or does someone want to throw a die for me?
What do you want rolled?
Destil.
D20.
Yeah.
You got a 12 plus whatever your modifier is.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Destil should roll.
Oh, I'm busy categorizing spells I want to have on scrolls. Sorry. Is it do we have 6 days in a work week?
5 days.
5 days.
What's your modifier?
Let's see, intelligence plus proficiency, that's plus 4.
So that'd be a 16.
Respectable.
That was a 16.
Yes.
Sorry, I've got to juggle a couple different books here. What was Jeannie's role for research?
Oh, so I'm spending all 5 weeks on this, and it's 50 gold per week, right?
50 gold per week.
Oh, okay. Well, in that case, I'm just going to no pluses on this.
Okay.
Just all 5 weeks. So I need to roll 5 rolls. All right.
And is Ekon spending the whole 5 weeks doing...
Grabbing scrolls, yeah. Assuming people don't mind if I spend about 3,000 gold. How are we doing on gold now?
3,000? Do we have that much?
We just got hundreds of platinum pieces, didn't we?
Yes, I just used 25 of them on my. on my research to fund it. We currently have 104 platinum, 2,200 gold, 3,600 silver.
This total in GP can't be correct. It's way too low. Right?
No, that looks right. Because that's
Okay.
like 306. That's like 366 gold.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, for some reason I think it's 100 to 1 sometimes, especially the platinum.
Unless we want to liberate some more gemstones.
In that case, okay, let's just do.
And we do
We
have
do have-
gemstones.
We have 1,000 gold in art.
And we have the art, yeah. Is that something we're going to be able to... Is that something that's going to take a downtime action to get rid of?
No, you could liquidate that to gold. I'm not concerned about it.
Okay. I think we should just liquidate all that to
Yeah,
gold.
just
and
liquidate
put
all
it-
that to gold. In that case, how much money do we actually have? I'm basically going to spend the whole time scribing scrolls. I just have to figure out which scrolls, the high-level ones, are real expensive.
All right. What were Genie's rolls?
All right. So for week 1, that is... this is a intelligence modifier roll, right? Let me see. No, it's just straight up. No, it's an intelligence check. Gotcha. Okay, so that is a 25 for week 1, a 20 for week 2, actually, you know what? Since this is can I use Flash of Genius on intelligence checks, Destil? Or
It's
is
an
it
ability
just-
check.
Yeah, okay. Well, then in that case, since this is weeks, I'm going to use... So that's a 30 for week 1, a 25 for week 2, a 19 for week 3, a 30 for week 4, and an 11 for week 5.
So for weeks 1, 2, and 4, you earn 3 pieces of lore.
Uh-huh.
For week 3, you earn 2 pieces. And for week 5, you learn 2 pieces. So that's 13 total pieces of lore that you can just cash in.
So in particular, the thing that I was researching in particular, like how am I going to be? Can I cash this in for like the just miscellaneous like magical accoutrements that I've picked up, or
Yeah,
is this
that's just-
for? Okay, I want to know what I can use the magic. Can I use the magic glass solution as a way to? Can I distill it into some like ink or something to like basically eat the cost of a scroll?
What do you mean eat the cost of a scroll?
To apply to the cost of a scroll, like a certain amount of GP value or something. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out, or what can I use this magical glass solution and emerald dragon blood for?
What do you want to use it for?
What do I want to use it for? I'm not sure. I basically, to keep things simple, I just want to use it to offset the cost of making magic items that I have in my infusion list.
All right, here's what we're going to do.
Okay.
Infusions typically... Sorry, I don't have Tasha's available right now. It's still back in the tunnel. Typically, infusions, or especially scribing spell scrolls, will duplicate the function of a spell. Yes?
Correct.
Okay. You have 13 pieces of lore. I'm going to say that you have 13 spell levels that you can spend on individual spells in this regard. For example, Fireball is what, a 3rd level spell?
Uh-huh.
You can spend 3 of these pieces of lore and learn how to specifically transcribe Fireball either as an infusion or as a spell scroll, waiving the costs.
And that'd be like a one-time thing, or just...
No, you now know how to do it.
Oh, so I could just poop out a
as long as you
fireball
have this material. So you have like some number of vials of this glass solution, yes? Once you're out of it, you can no longer do it, but you'll retain the knowledge of how to do it.
I don't get... So, like, how much... So, like, I would be able to just poop out, like, 20... Because I have 20 vials of this magic glass solution.
So you could make 20 fireball scrolls without
With
having
the time...
without having to spend the material cost, but still spending the time to scribe them.
Okay, all right, cool.
And that's going to cost you, because Fireball's a 3rd level spell, and that leaves you with 10 more spell levels that you can do the same thing with. But you only have 20 vials of this material that you can use for this purpose. Does that make sense?
Gotcha. Yes. Okay, then as for the blood, because this Emerald Dragon blood, can I use it to, like, I don't know.
I have a more specific thing in mind for the dragon blood.
Okay.
Bear with me just one moment.
I thought you did, but I
did.
because you had the eyes, so. But I didn't know if you remembered, because that was 6 months ago.
I have to double check that this spell's a cantrip, or is it a leveled spell? Oh, it's one of each. Okay. I have really, really old notes about this because you guys have been carrying this around for a very long time now.
Listen, the entire of reality has been trying to kill us.
Yes.
I haven't had time.
We literally got pulled into another dimension.
So you have one of two uses for this dragon blood. You can either expend all of it to add the Mind Sliver cantrip to your spell list as an Artificer. It becomes an Artificer spell for you. Which means anything that you could typically do with a cantrip, you can now do with this one instead.
Okay. It just becomes I just learn it, or it's on my.
You can consume this vial entirely as part of your research to learn this cantrip. Add it to your spell list. Just straight up. It's like a psychic damage cantrip. It basically makes Victor obsolete. Or you could expend all of it to make some number. We'll roll dice for it. To make Artificer devices that will mimic the spell Intellect Fortress. It's a 3rd level cantrip that gives resistance to psychic damage or advantage to intelligence, wisdom, and charisma saves.
Genie drinks the vial and learns the cantrip.
Okay. Well, no, drink it. That's...
You just said drink it!
You use it...
It's not like she has any... It's not like she has any blood for an infusion.
Well, now she has a little blood until she poops again. Okay, so you're going to add that spell to your spell list, and then you've used up... Well, you've got 13 spell levels worth to...
Alright, cool.
Learn how to make scrolls using your glass solution rather than gold.
Right, and then I still have the eyes to make those psychic gauntlets. Psychic goggles.
I actually have one other thing in addition to describing scrolls that I just remembered.
Sure.
With Genie's help, I would like to derive a way to stone shape that staff into something useful. Like a tomahawk head or arrowheads or something where having the main part of the weapon be a piece of stone wouldn't be a detriment.
You did mention that in the last session, yeah.
Does stone shape requires the mass to be the same before and after, correct?
I think it just has to fit in a 5-foot cube before and after. I mean, if I would make arrowheads, I'd make 20. I'm not going to make a 5-foot cube of arrowheads. But if I get 20 magical +1 arrows, if I go bring these to a Fletcher.
Why not a 5-foot cube of arrowheads?
This Brick Road would say no.
Well, because stone shape has to be one physical object, and you can make one arrowhead that way.
Okay. What about the head of a spear or some other weapon that were one piece?
Because I'm in a different book now. Do you have Xanathar's?
Yeah.
The downtime rules?
I've got the magic items in front of me.
Yeah, what's the cost in gold to create a common magic item?
Common is 50.
50? So I'll say for 50 golds, you can use your stone shape on this staff and make a usable weapon with an axe head or...
Does anyone have a preference for a weapon they want? Oh, a dagger was the other one I was thinking. We have a lot of dagger people.
Yes, a
got
dagger
one
would be
dagger
like,
versus-
like a stone dagger, or even like an edge to a sword or
Okay.
something would also be
Yeah, that'd be
appropriate.
cool. Does anyone have a weapon that they need made out of partly stone?
And this would not be like the disadvantage. Like I think he's trying to
Yeah.
remove the disadvantage.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
I'm
what I'm
trying to
saying.
shape the stone into the effective edgy part of a weapon or the bludgeony part.
For
and then
50
have
gold, you can
craft
take
the
this
rest of it.
weapon that needs to be wielded at disadvantage and remove the disadvantage from it.
Like the only
Right.
two of us that use magic that use weapons are Orson and Evie.
Orson's
and
already got a +1 spear.
And sometimes Edmont when he doesn't want to touch the icky thing.
Edmont, do
You
you have
want-
any
it's gonna-
preferences for a weapon?
I mean, I just trained up on one, so I don't really need to worry about not touching the icky.
Can
thing
I
anymore.
can
Make a stone
incorporate?
whip.
I was gonna say, can I incorporate into barbs for a stone whip for a stone barbed scourge?
You can, but then it would no longer use the whip proficiency.
Okay,
It would have to be like a flail or something.
okay.
I guess just a dagger for
I mean,
Yeah,
so
Evie, you got another magical dagger. Welcome to the world of being a rogue.
Victor doesn't have any magical daggers. He just has the psychic stuff. So if that ever stops working,
Do you need like a bludgeoning weapon or anything that you're proficient with?
So this is a +1 dagger.
I mean, it's a +1 whatever we turn it into. I can make like a short sword or a dagger or.
I mean, dagger
Yes, it's
is all
+1
I can
dagger.
There you go.
Someone has a +1 dagger with a stone edge now. I'll knock off the 50 gold.
do you already have a +1 dagger, Evie?
Well, only the one from Jeannie's infusion, which I think goes away if she takes it away.
Yeah. Okay.
or dies.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought they stayed around for a number of days equal to your caster level if you die.
It's your intelligence modifier for it's like is it weeks? It might be weeks.
So once you've done this, the weapon is now permanently a dagger.
Okay. Yep.
All right. Edmont.
Sure.
I think we'll do you next because I don't know. It's just the next name on my list here. You rolled a 16.
Yes.
Okay, let me get Xanathar's back out here. I'm going through 3 different books at once now.
No, 100% valid.
Can I give him a +5 on that skill check with my
No, you're spending your 5 weeks doing something else.
oh, okay.
16 ain't bad.
Now Evie has daggers made of wood and stone. Got quite a
And metal.
collection.
And the
Yep.
idea is to like have this art up in the foyer of our manse.
You have a
All
black.
right, I'm
iron
knocking
one, too.
off 2,300 gold pieces from the party loot.
And you spent 2 weeks painting this. So 16 at 2 weeks of work is the equivalent of a comfortable lifestyle for 2 weeks. Comfortable lifestyle is what, like 10 gold or something?
Something like that.
I don't remember off the top. of my
Comfortable, I think, is a gold a week, isn't it? Isn't that like the baseline?
Hold on, I could tell you. Comfortable is 2 gold pieces a week. 2 gold pieces a day.
head. 2 gold pieces a day. So you spent 10 days. 10 days times 2 gold.
20.
So you've made a
20 gold.
painting that has a value of 20 gold pieces in that time.
Yeah.
And as expected, when you unveil it, you have a friend in there. And so you want Koyana to give you a reading
Rock a reading off of
pertaining
that.
to this friend.
Yes.
Okay. For that, if I can remember how to load objects. Oh, you know what? I might have to go to the workshop button here. I have so many just random villainous decks in the workshop. There we go.
Treble, do you want an emergency cure wounds scroll?
Sure. I mean,
I'll take the other one.
I've got. Remember, I put a scroll.
Oh, you have a scroll. You have an infusion that can do cure wounds.
Yeah.
Okay, so I need like 2 minutes to prepare for this. In the meantime, what you guys can discuss is at the end of the 5 weeks, Your Demetrius, your reeve, approaches the house with some disgruntlement in the village. They want to know why Jeannie has a skilled blacksmith that she does not allow to work for the good of the village. Nobody else can hire this blacksmith to make horseshoes and nails and things. Jeannie keeps him at the manor working on her projects, and no one in the village has ever seen one of these projects. Skilled blacksmith is a very valuable person to have in the village, and other than this person, you don't have one. Why not? Discuss.
Are we talking about Mr. Uppamajigger?
No,
No,
Genie's
or-
retainer.
She's my retainer.
Oh, right. Okay.
Because he's not really a blacksmith. She's been lying the whole time. He's actually her sex toy.
What?
I mean, you could.
Genie,
He's-
just apologize.
he's-
Just apologize.
It's his. He's got a job. He's doing it. So
If there was some dire need that we needed a blacksmith for, I'm sure we would redirect his labors. But
I mean, he's been sitting on his butt this entire time. I'm assuming I just assumed he was like doing blacksmith work. If he doesn't want to go out and find blacksmith work when I don't need him, then he doesn't want to do it.
I feel like
on
that's
him.
a perfectly valid explanation. Is like he's doing blacksmith stuff, except when he's working on a project specifically for Genie.
I mean, I did say that he asked him if it was like my personal blacksmith. And I said basically he's my retainer.
You basically did say that he hasn't been working in the village for anybody.
But
which is
like
the
I
issue.
it's not because Jeannie told him not to. It's probably because Jeannie didn't tell him to.
Well, does Jeannie tell him to now that there is an economic niche that needs filling?
I mean, he's currently got a job, so he's working on plate mail for Orson.
So is that a no?
I mean, when he's done with the plate mail. Sure.
Okay.
When he's
I guess
done with his
Victor's. I guess on a related note, Victor's retainer would probably have been doing medical stuff in the village.
Bear with me one moment. I have a special notepad open specifically for the Taraka stuff. Edmont,
Clear.
what is the question that you would ask the deck? The wording of this question may be very important.
What is the significance of this man who keeps insinuating himself into my art? This man with a scythe.
Okay. Koyana has stopped doing readings for Victor. Because Victor spooked her. Good job. Oh, also, she's not doing this reading for free. This is going to cost... she's going to charge you 25 gold for this. Because she knows you can afford it.
Certainly.
Can Victor make amends with her at some point?
It has nothing to do with something Victor did. Alright, Edmont wants to know what's the significance of this man in my art.
Yes.
$1,500 gold pieces.
The
This
first
man
card
I
she
never
casts
remember drawing.
is the Eight of Coins. This is the core of your reading. This is your central card. This is supposed to reveal something about yourself.
Okay.
Eight of
Let me grab my
Coins
notebook.
is the tax collector. And this could go two ways, she says. The tax collector represents corruption. But before you can take offense to the word, she points out that corruption can mean two different things. Typically, this could mean honesty or it can mean corruption in an honest organization. For example, your family is setting to rights this land, and you secretly harbor some ill intent against them. Or it could be the opposite. It could represent your willingness, your desire to do good or honest work in an organization that is otherwise corrupt.
Okay.
In order to shed light on this, she casts a card above the tax collector. This is your face. This is how the world sees you. The 9 of coins. The miser. The miser hoards wealth. The miser potentially, as seen on the card, is someone who is irrevocably unhappy. The more the miser has, the less happy he is. And she wonders aloud whether this is how the villagers in fact see you. You live in the manor house. You are the wealthy. You are the nobility. You're always going on adventures and bringing back sacks of gold and objects of great wealth and magic. You yourself possess great skill and talent, and yet none of it seems to bring you joy. She casts a card below the tax collector. This card is supposed to reveal your heart. She casts the 6 of glyphs. And she smiles, knowingly to herself. But she asks you whether you would have expected to see the anarchist.
Edmont does not answer.
The anarchists is a desire or a need for change, often violent and disruptive, a part of yourself that needs to break the chains around you. She casts a card to your left. This card is supposed to represent your past. And she casts the Raven. The Raven is, in Darkon, a symbol of good. Ravens are seen as very intelligent, a source of both intellect and information. Usually seeing a raven is a good auspice, but she doesn't know what symbolism, if any, the raven would have in the place where you're from. If it's similar to here in Darkon, what it would mean is that at some point in your past, you experienced a fortuitous moment that allowed you to do good in a very bad situation. And that in doing so, it changed the path of your life. And you think about it for a moment, and you realize that your parents were not particularly pleased with Ekon joining the faith and rising those ranks, and wanted to and saw an opportunity to send him out to Brennanine with Nigel. And you realize how instrumental were you in them making that decision? Was that a fortuitous moment in your past? She casts a card to your right. This card is your future. And she casts the Necromancer.
Like, Edmont coughs when he sees the artwork and stuff on it, and he's like,
The Necromancer symbolizes a destructive path. Usually, but not always, set into motion by unnatural events. Something that has happened to you that was out of your control, but is nonetheless changing you into something different, which is going to be destructive. She points out, though, that sometimes destruction is necessary. For example, you destroyed the house of Lord Randus in order to give a better life and freedom to the people who were his serfs. If a tree is in the way of where a road needs to be laid down or a field that needs to be plowed, destroying the tree can create value for everyone. Destruction is not necessarily bad, but this element of destruction was brought on by something unnatural or from outside. So she takes the reading together, having cast the 5 cards. That's 5 gold pieces per card. I think you got ripped off.
yeah.
There's a lot in the reading that is unnatural. Magical forces working inside and around you, in your past and your future. And that you're railing against it. The man in your painting is never depicted in this way. He's never doing anything particularly destructive. I think there was one time where he beheaded a zombie or something.
That is true. I think he thought he beheaded one of the, he beheaded one of the fellows in the,
In the stocks.
in the pillories. Right? In the pillories, yeah.
How much of
And
your artwork do you make
mostly as much
available
as
to her?
I'll show her a couple of the sketches that he's taken so far. Stuff like the aforementioned fellow being beheaded and other various things he's taken throughout his travels in these lands.
So most of the time he's
And also
depicted
some of his art,
as being
some of his older
peaceful
art
in the
from previous-
foreground.
Yeah.
Just standing, just observing. She wonders whether this man represents an aspect of yourself as an observer, as the part of you that won't give in to wanting to break these chains, that wants to turn this magical influence to seed destruction wherever it needs to go. The fact that you're drawing him subconsciously means that some part of you wants to give in to all of that. For her part, she suggests that you do so. And that is the end of the reading.
Did you pull that one out of your butt too, like you did Victor's?
No, I have a guide on how to do Taraka readings. I know what all the
Oh,
cards mean.
so it's like cold reading, like a psychic.
Oh, cold reading is exactly what it is. Yes.
So that's always neat.
I'm looking to see if there were any cards in common between Victor and Edmont, and there were not.
When gonna give McDohl time to collect his thoughts here and just put it out there that before we do anything else, before we move on to the next adventure, like Jeannie has something she wants to do with Ekon, excuse me.
Okay. Let's go ahead and get that done now then. Because I think that's
Okay.
the last outstanding thing that we need.
No, that's actually putting more thoughts into my head, and I'm distressed.
Well, the Taraka is not supposed to answer anything for you. You're not supposed to come
Yeah.
out of it feeling good. It's a haunted deck of cards being read by people with ulterior motives who want to emotionally manipulate you into giving them gold.
So
Embrace your
Genie,
own.
But that doesn't
Genie
mean it's
has-
not true.
yeah, yeah. So Genie has so currently everybody knows that Genie has no blood, but the only person that knows that Genie has the horror veins in her. Is that where we're gonna go with horror veins? Yeah, that's
Ekon.
fine. Is Ekon. So and Genie has sworn him to secrecy, and as far as she knows, he hasn't said anything to anyone. But Genie passed that horror check and just kind of compartmentalized that. But she's basically stewed over it all winter, not in the sense of how horrible it is, but she's just like, I gotta know what the deal is, right? Like from a scientific curiosity perspective, like what would cause that to happen? And she has a few working theories currently, and like like she's got like a list like with a flowchart. So like she's got like a Always Sunny in Philadelphia like crazy person conspiracy wall in her in like one of the rooms of her workshop, and she's like, and she calls Ekon to it. She's like, okay, so I need your help. I got a couple of things that maybe we need to reach outside assistance with, and she's going to ask Ekon to cast sending, and is it divination where you ask the god Destil?
Yeah, one of those does have a cost.
I mean, when we have money, like we're
Yeah,
listen,
yeah, yeah.
we're
No,
we're
just to
part
make
of the,
sure we don't overlook it. So divination allows me to ask a single question or event within the next 7 days directly to my god, though last time we tried that it didn't quite work out that way. And sending, obviously, you know what that does.
So, I would like you to send a sending to Van Richten,
Mm-hmm.
asking him if he has seen this before, and just describe the if the no blood and the horror veins. With the they had the consistency of like what, tarp or burlap, right?
Like burlap,
really
like kind of like a canvas.
canvas, yeah, they were black canvas feeling,
Yeah.
but he couldn't cut through them. And just ask Van Richten if he has seen this before,
Sure.
because we have been told that he is a. We were told by the visitors from Barovia, I think, that he is a expert on such matters.
Well, they're not visitors. They're
I know
they're
they're
citizens now. You
They're
settled them.
citizens now. When we spoke to them, they were visitors.
Yeah, I can do that.
Bear with me one moment.
Yep.
And
Props
then
the money
if
for
he doesn't know
divination.
anything, then we'll ask the spooky god voice.
We didn't come out of because you only met him once on
Right.
the train. You didn't guys
Correct.
come out of that adventure with him owing you anything, did you?
No.
In fact, he helped you
He-
out on that train a little bit.
He expressed interest in like meeting again to discuss things.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we could open up with the people you sent are here and they're safe and they're citizens in our village.
Okay.
Open up with that, I guess, if we have to, like,
Always be polite.
Van Richten tells you, in response to your sending, he may be able to bring information that will help, that his consultation fee is 450 gold pieces.
Okay.
all right. Did he give a time frame on consultation?
No, but I'm assuming you can cast sending again after you've...
Oh yeah. Yeah, we can. I can swing that. I've got so much alcohol to sell.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I'll tell him that sounds agreeable if he, however he wants to get here to collect the money.
Well, that's going to cover his travel costs and putting materials
Yeah,
and
yeah.
other things. Then the agreement reached is that he will visit Silverbow before the beginning of summer.
Okay.
All right.
So at some point within the next couple of months.
I mean,
wanted to cast divination.
I still want to ask the creepy god voice. Yes, I don't think Genie
All right,
has
let me look at this.
Genie does not have the that is a better answer than I was expecting to get from Van Richten.
So
But at
the
the same-
divination requires me to ask about a goal, event, or activity, not like an object or occurrence.
Ask about the event that caused me to not have blood and have canvas in my body.
That's going to occur in 7 days.
Oh.
Yeah, it only asks about the future. Sorry.
That's fine. Genie is disappointed that your creepy god voice has such limitations.
Ekon has to apologize for the shortcomings of his god.
No, it's not the shortcomings of his god, it's the shortcomings of Ekon's ability to commune with the god. Give him a couple of levels and he'll have a much more powerful divination spell that can look at the past too, but right now he can only ask about the future.
I feel like apologizing for the shortcomings of your gods is like half of a cleric's job.
Half cast Cure Light Wounds, half rationalization.
Yeah. We
The
should.
Taraka reading has gotten Edmont like in a headspace where it's like, do I just go out and let me live this transformation for a weekend?
For a weekend. Just
Isolate myself?
The Hangover Barovia edition.
While we got you here, you should try sending to just use all of your spell slots for the day to send to random people from Brennanine and stuff. Try Ruby again and Nigel.
Yeah, let's try. I've been meaning to do that for a while. Let's see what happens if I try ascending to Ruby.
No luck.
What about if I try ascending to Platin?
That I can answer. So last you heard from Platin, he was trying to make his way through Darkon to your position.
He ended up somewhere entirely random.
The mists kept sending him different places than it was sending you. Bear with me just one moment. Platin has spent the winter Lair was with him too, wasn't he?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had gotten separated for a little while, but upon his arrival in... what's the name of the city? He spent the winter in the city of Lakar. Lakar is where he caught back up with Lair, and Lakar is a city under siege by the dead. They come in waves, armies and armies of them. And he and Lair have been spreading themselves thin, assisting the defense of the city. You've heard similar stories because you have people in your village who have settled here who have come from Falkovnia, where Lakar is situated. So that's what Platin has been up to.
Well, that sounds fun.
How do we get him here?
Yeah, I feel like we may need to plan an expedition to get to Falkovnia and find them and just put an end to all this.
Well, the reason he hasn't left is because he feels a duty to these people. He's a man of considerable magic and talent, and he's needed for their war effort.
Maybe we could schedule a rescue operation. We go in and we get that sweet evacuate. So how big is this city? Is this a city of hundreds of thousands? Is it
So this information is going back and forth with sending spells over the course of several weeks, yes?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
The city itself might be larger than Brennanine, although maybe a quarter of the population, if that. Lots of the city is abandoned, lots of it's in ruins, and there's just lots of death everywhere. He's describing the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah.
I mean, our party might be enough to swing things one way or another. We're pretty powerful at this point. Ekon could probably destroy a zombie army alone.
Well, anything Ekon could do, Pladen could do better, and he already hasn't.
I mean, Ekon has a lot of AoE damage.
Yeah, Platinum has fireballs and walls of fire.
Well, let's put it this way. Ekon could stand his ground against zombies for a long time. Like, a very long time. But the way Pladen describes his place is there are always, always, always more zombies.
I mean, Ekon needs to get long rests eventually.
Yep.
Like,
might
we
be able to
could
save a lot of
simulate
people.
this if you guys just want to be bored for several hours. I can just keep rolling more and more and more zombies until Ekon finally dies.
How much XP would we get?
None. It would be a simulation.
None, he'd be dead. Dead characters gain no XP.
Oh, you get the XP for the encounter that kills you. I guess the rest of your party has to overcome it.
So that's it for downtime then. Are we going to pursue the missive next, or did you have something else in mind? Oh, that's right. You guys wanted to do something with Tenny during this time.
Yeah,
Right. Yes.
Right.
yeah. I guess Evie's kind of just gonna get the whole family together, and she's gonna discuss kind of what she sees should be the tasks that we work on, like going into the spring. So this will be the whole party: Lugrin, Tenny, and probably Abernathy.
Okay. And what
Okay,
comes of
so-
that?
Okay, so first of all, Evie, congratulates everyone for, we got through the winter. Our stores held fast. There were no outbreaks of disease. The children that were sick recovered.
There was one murder.
Well, we're gonna get to, we'll get back to that. But yeah, there was the murder. We're not done investigating that, but
Sure.
for now, she, just wants everyone to know that their efforts have been appreciated. Ekon in particular for the work he put in to, keep everyone safe and healthy. And she's going to start with Ekon and Abernathy, actually, because they've kind of become like the de facto representatives of the law in town. Like, Abernathy is the sheriff. He's kind of like the law enforcement, and Ekon is, I feel like, who everyone looks to is kind of like the, arbiter of the law. To the point where to the point where it even feels like he has more authority than Evie sometimes. So she is going to ask the two of you, actually, in collaboration with her, actually come up with like a codified set of laws for how the city is going to be governed. And for simplicity's sake, we're going to assume that that's going to look virtually identical to Ferniscan law in most cases. That's going to be the guidelines that we use.
I would actually advise that we get someone of the locals who's somewhat learned, and at least make sure we don't step on any toes that are particularly sore about local laws and customs that might not map perfectly to our own.
We have a person for that. We gave him a job, remember? He's the Reeve.
Yeah. It would be in collaboration with Demetrius, who is kind of like the third part of that triangle. But, yeah, I mean, as far as I know, like, Evelyn he didn't give us any rules that we had to follow here. We are the law here, so there's not necessarily, like, official Darkon law, but there would absolutely be customs that we would want to uphold in some cases. But for the most part, Evie is the way she's been running the place has been, hemming pretty close to Ferniscan law. Whenever questions come up, we always be like, oh, what did we do back in Brennanine?
So then that begs the question: what customs have we seen here that we would see snuffed out?
A lot of superstition. I definitely don't want to come back to town sometime and find out that we've been burning witches. That would be no good. So, tone down the parts of the sermons that are, about the fire and judgment. How do you feel about that?
I mean, I already take a judicious hand towards exactly how to properly interpret this stuff. So
Okay. I just want to have like an official, something we can point to as precedent. Because a lot of times I feel like, the peasants are trying to catch us and like, oh, well, you did this time and you did this another time. So I want to have it written down. Okay. Next up, Edmont and Orson, actually. I have a job for you two. I would like the two of you to spend some time gathering together volunteers and begin drilling a militia or town guard so that while we are afield, we know that the city can defend itself. Doesn't have to be anything fancy, just a squad of men with spears and bows can line the walls, and if the town were to come under siege, I would feel better knowing that we had a group of men who could come to the city's defense, even if we're not here. Thoughts?
Very well. I can seek out some volunteers.
Yeah, the two of you are our best weapon specialists, so I feel like you two are the best to handle something like that. Let's see, Lugrin. I had a job for him now that spring has come. We were going to be looking into whether it would be possible to establish or re-establish the vineyards in the territory. I imagine that's going to be a long-term task.
Oh yeah, but I mean, first you have to have somebody who actually knows how to do all that stuff.
Yeah, and there's only one person I know of, and he was actually in the lands of Randa. So it may be that we, send a rider out and ask him if he's interested in joining the villages of Vinter because we have a potential vineyard.
Didn't he go commit suicide?
No, that wasn't him. But one of those guys was a Vinter, so there's a name in Evie's head, but I don't know how easy it would be to find him again. But in the meantime, I would like Lugrin to learn a weapon. I don't want him to become a fighter, but I would like him to know that he could defend himself if something were to happen, that he could protect himself and our little sister while we're not here.
I mean, Lugrin's he's a noble. He has a simple weapon of proficiency, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, if he has that, then that's all I'm really looking for.
One thing this discussion has made me think of, Evie, should we have an official, God, what's the word? I don't think emissary is the right word, but emissary for,
Ambassador?
Yeah, an ambassador, they're our vassal state, so...
Diplomats? We need a diplomatic corps.
What's the step below Duchess on the hierarchy?
Like a countess?
Like, Ekon would know this. Okay, should we have a count that directly reports to you running Randus's lands?
We don't own Randus's lands.
No,
Yeah,
don't.
we didn't take them over.
You guys
Yes,
let
Evie
us-
made the
So
conscious
then we
choice to
would
let
be
it
looking
be.
at a diplomat, or, whatchamacallit?
Yeah, having a
Ambassador.
diplomatic, having someone who... having someone who was there full-time, reporting back to us, something like that.
a spy.
Yeah,
I mean, if we had someone in town who was willing to do that kind of thing, if they wanted to do, a diplomatic exchange, that sort of thing happens, an exchange of ambassadors. I don't know that, there's... Aside from occasional trade, I don't know how much collaboration the two regions could do, because we're separated by mist. So we're basically
Victor will
in
volunteer to run
different
the spy.
countries.
Victor will volunteer to run the spy agency.
Now, I have a job for you, Victor.
It's cute that you think I'll do it.
No, this is going to be right up your alley. You might remember that when, Aslan sent us here, presumably to die, he said he was giving us a list of, ruins within the realm of Darkon that no one had ever looked at or hadn't looked at in a very long time. Just a list of any places of interest that he thought, people of our skill might find interesting. And
I can go look at those.
Yeah, I would like you to investigate some of those and see if you can figure out which one of those are going to be worth our time and attention.
That's going to require downtime action.
Yeah. Jeannie and Tenny. Jeannie, you've been spending a lot of your time making, magical armaments and devices for the house. I feel like that is a good use of your time. You've also been spending time teaching Tenny the basics of, our house magic. But I do want... Go ahead.
Mostly just to keep her busy when Edmont's in his special time.
Well, I feel the time has come for like Tenny to start taking like the next steps in her education. So basically, she's going to be learning the tenets of the house magic no matter what. But there's a couple different paths that I see. One that are related to Tenny's interests or are related to the talents that I've seen she has. So one, we have a couple people in the town who are skilled in woodcraft or maybe even in the druidic arts. And if Tenny were interested in pursuing that, we could talk to those people and maybe set up, a mentorship program for her to begin being educated in woodcraft or druidic magic. Or if she's more interested in kind of sneaking around, getting into trouble, finding things, I could start giving her a education in basically how to be a rogue. Or she could even pursue maybe, a mix between those two disciplines, which might land her in something maybe closer to like the beginning of a ranger.
So are you asking for input, or have you made a decision?
No, I'm asking for input. I want, Tenny to do what she wants. I'm not going to make Tenny do one of these or the other. I'm going to let her decide. But these are a couple possibilities I've identified for her. So you guys can give input, and I want to know what Tenny thinks too.
I mean, she needs a level of noble first, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tenny thinks you're going to make her do whatever you want to do, no matter what she wants.
I'm asking her what she wants to do.
You have to remember, the girl's like 11 years old.
Yeah.
So she's not going to have a good answer for like long term. Yes, 11-year-old what they want to do. They say they want to be an astronaut. She basically answers the question by saying she wants to do all the things she's been wanting to do that you guys keep trying to take away from her or disciplining her for. She wants to be allowed to go out into the wilderness with her friends and do kid stuff. Obviously, she doesn't admit that she wants to continue like sneaking around and getting into trouble, but as far as like asking her what she wants to do as a career path, you're not going to get a good answer from a 10-year-old.
Okay, so
she wants to be a druid.
I feel like we just go with the magical thing, and if she wants to pivot, she could pivot.
yeah, I'm thinking maybe she tries all of it. And
Wait,
then
what does a
see
level
she-
1 noble get? She doesn't have to make like any other class selection yet.
No. She gets.
Give me a second.
You get.
So to earn your first level in noble, you would have to crack down and continue to teach her the things that she doesn't want to learn. She has to learn etiquette. She has to learn you're going to have to do more of what she doesn't want you to do. You're going to have to put more restrictions on her movements.
Does she need to have a level of noble?
She doesn't need to. No, she doesn't yet. All
right, so she has to pick up a simple weapon, 2 artisan's tools, 2 musical instruments, or 1 of each, and is there skill proficiency?
Destil, she doesn't have to have a level of noble. She can just go straight to druid.
That doesn't make any sense to me.
If you're going to continue her noble education, she's going to continue to rail against it.
I mean, we all had to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But
Do they not get any skill proficiencies?
They do. I think it's 4. And it could be anything. So, like, this world is dangerous, and I want Tenny to be prepared to, take care of herself or defend herself if it came to. So, learning the beginnings of some of that, being able to fight and defend herself, it's not something that's, you don't want to think about an 11-year-old having to fight, but we're in Darkon.
So I guess what you want her to have a class level. What you're gonna have to decide though is what class level do you want her to have. She's going to rail against you, regardless of what you say.
I think level 1 in noble, and then she can pick whatever path she wants from there.
Victor thinks level 1 in druid.
I mean, I'm kind of on the druid. Like we hire.
I don't even know how to start teaching someone to talk to trees. No clue.
Yeah.
We have there's a
I can
tutor.
show her how to build a house.
There is a
relic. I have no idea.
There is a druidess in town, but remember, she's also one of the madams of the brothel.
Yeah.
So she
So
might
there's-
teach
there's
Tenny how to be a druid, but she also might teach Tenny how to be a prostitute.
Yeah. So we need to use a light touch there.
That's easily controllable.
Is it?
Tenny has been notoriously easy to control up to now, yes.
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 On that note, she has one other instruction for all of you. If any of you are to partake of the services of the brothel, you are to use protection. That is an order. I am not dealing with any illegitimate ears. If one of those girls comes to me and tells me that she is pregnant with your child, I will cut off your balls. And I don't mean that in a metaphorical sense. I mean I will cut off your actual balls with a knife. I will mount them on my wall over my desk with a little plaque that says, "This is what you get."
Jeannie
Okay,
raises her
Jeannie.
hand.
Orson's
Jeannie
face
raises her-
goes white as a sheet.
Jeannie raises her hand and says, "I have a question.
Yes.
I hate to tell you this, but I do not have testicles."
I'm not really worried about you.
So,
It's okay, Jeannie. One day you'll learn what a penis is.
I'll say this, Evie. The brothel's been operating all winter, and as far as you know, none of the girls have gotten pregnant. This is something that the brothel already knows how to deal with on their end.
But I don't know.
Also, I don't know that I would trust like a Renaissance era, at best, condom.
Well, I mean,
Made of sheepskin.
Right.
yeah, I think that's what the ancient Greeks used.
It was highly porous and not effective.
No, but people have known about it for a long time. It's not a modern development. I think that's really all I've got.
Magic latex.
Victor's like, what about the 6 illegitimate kids I already have?
They're back in Brennanede. We don't have to talk. We don't have to worry about those.
So I guess we're just gonna keep going with Noble for Tenny for now, and
Okay.
Yes.
she's gonna have to suck it up. But she needs. There's some stuff she needs to know.
Okay.
No kid likes going to school.
So are we then pursuing?
I like school.
Are we then pursuing the message from the skeletal bird?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Before you depart, Trieste has been consulting with Beata, the druidess, on the subject of her sister. And after some considerable prodding, Beata has told her that there's a particular kind of fungus that does not grow in Darkhan. Darkhan is far too temperate a climate. But which Beata has seen in its dry and preserved form elsewhere. She's sketched you what this plant looks like out in the wild. And Trieste does not know where you're traveling to, but she does know that you've been that you travel beyond the mists from time to time for your own purposes. And she hands you essentially a textbook sketch and a mycological study of this particular fungus, what it looks like in the wild, as well as telling you what you can ask for if you come across, say, an apothecary that might have some in stock.
And she believes that this will help her sister somehow.
Beta has told her that in some instances there has been some luck using this particular fungus, and that Beata and Trieste are willing to try it if you come across some.
That's great. We'll absolutely keep an eye out for it.
We'll keep an eye out for it. Yes.
Okay.
That means Orson will keep an eye out for it. No one else has the nature to do it.
It's called the Brain Gill Oyster, because it looks somewhat like an oyster in its fully fruited form, and it has very powerful psychoactive elements to it when consumed. If you find it in the wilds, you'd have to travel very far afield. It would be somewhere more akin to a tropical climate. But if you find it in an apothecary's shop, you can expect to pay quite a large amount of money for
For the
it.
nose. Well, as we said, we'll keep our ears to the ground for it.
I mean, the Ambersons are practically family at this point.
Yeah, about that. Do you have any plans for like a wedding?
Jeannie is still betrothed to Abernathy, as far as I know.
Am I betrothed?
Yeah, that's why I'm asking.
We literally had one date.
Abernathy seems to think so.
One date is sometimes all it takes in these noble courting situations.
I mean, Abernathy hasn't done anything. Jeannie's not going to do anything. It's up to Abernathy. He's the dude.
He's the sheriff. He's been busy.
Right, exactly. So
He puts his job over
It's still
her.
up to him. He needs to present me with a diamond that is what 2 paychecks worth at least.
How much do you pay him?
I
Nothing.
don't pay them.
So a diamond worth 0 gold.
It's 2 paychecks worth of 0 gold.
Any other preparations that you make before setting out?
I can get combat spells.
Evie is not going to make you get married, although if you did want to marry Abernathy, she would bless that union as the head of the family.
I mean, Jeannie has. It's Futurama.neutrality.gif.
Hashtag no blood.
Yeah, basically. Like, I don't have blood.
That's what
like
could cause a man to go neutral.
she might actually.
I'm sorry, Treble.
That got me. Like she might be willing to get married just so she could see if it's physically possible for her to get pregnant with no blood. For science.
If you did marry him, there would be one thing that Evie would want to think about, because originally the plan was for Abernathy to marry into the Veritas house, and considering that the Ambersons, Triestonique and Abernathy might be the only Ambersons left at this point. So I wonder if at this point it would make more sense for Jeannie to marry into the Amberson house.
Victor volunteers to marry
You
Dudley
trying to
because
get-
she can't say no.
Are you? First of all, ooh. Second of all, are you trying to get rid of me?
No.
Feels like she's trying to get rid of me, Ekon.
Yeah, I know.
I am deeply hurt by your insinuations, dear sister. And then Jeannie's going to turn around and walk away with just like a completely deadpan voice and look on her face.
Duchess, your ruby was showing for a moment.
No, I mean I'm just thinking of like the Amberson house, and like they are practically extinct, and Jeannie could be like the person who helps them bring it back.
Why? Just make them part of our house. One less competitor.
I mean, Evie's not going to make Jeannie do anything.
Yet.
No.
All right.
All right.
Again,
So
so
any other-
ruby showed for a moment.
Any other preparations you're going to make before you set out to the site of the first and oldest?
If I was being Ruby would have said she is absolutely staying at Veritas.
I have no further preparations now.
Just make sure rations are topped off and
Yeah.
I mean, we're not going far, are we?
You don't know how far you're going. You were told that Avardo was waiting at the site of the first and oldest.
Yeah. I'm guessing we're timing this to possibly just after one of Edmont's little episodes.
If you want.
if there's time after all the downtime stuff to just do a quick cursory check around the village, see if what people know about the first and the oldest. If any of our villagers have experienced them before.
Superstition, largely based around what you guys brought back with you. So let's go ahead and take a 15-minute break. Go ahead and get your coffee, get your bagel. We'll reconvene at 4:15. And I'm glad I get to use this map again, because this is a
I don't like
cool-ass
this map.